sold, and the flow of those pallets. Ideally, you would want product to be put on that pallet, get sent to a location, and that pallet comes back to a plant, gets repaired, and it gets ready to repeat the cycle. I am responsible for that repeat process, right? To make sure that those inflows go in and out and the way they're supposed to be done, right? Now that's more of a logistics role. It's more of a role that has required me to be more methodical on how I go about speaking to people, how I go about explaining things to people. Because I work in an industry where our business is surrounded over other people's business. Realistically, a pallet is worth nothing if it can't transport anything. And realistically, I have to understand every single logistics point from every single company, whether Procter's and Gamble's, BJ's, Costco's, you name it. I deal with all the major brands out there, and some unknown brands, right?
Like I don't know if I'm having a slow moment. When I think of pallets, something else is coming to mind.
It's a skid. It's a wooden skid. You probably, if you go to any Costco's, or if you go to any BJ's, you will see product
like
on a pallet.
Yes, okay.
It's the wooden skid at the bottom.
Yeah, I'm not going crazy. So y'all just like letting those things go and then bringing them back and then shipping them back out.
Pretty much, man. We're operating in 83 countries in the world, and I handle all of New York City, all of Long Island.
Oh, so you basically the distro.
Something like that. So what it is it's a weird role, man. I mean, that's just one portion of it. Again, I have to understand every single client that I have, and I have about 537 of them.
What?
Yeah, it's about 537. But also, it's
you have a team. I assume
it's me. We have a Northeast team.
Yeah. Okay.
That handles Philadelphia, Delaware, Ohio, Pennsylvania, upstate, Maine, Connecticut.
They always speak about upstate like it's a whole different place.
Well, it's big.
Well, yeah, absolutely.
That's
absolutely
what it is. It's just distance traveling.
Yeah.
I have so many accounts that are so condensed that it's enough to merit a territory, right?
Now, I'm 21 years old. I'm watching the Jess Takes a Village podcast. I'm hearing your episode. How do I get a job like what you have? What's the process?
My process is very unorthodox. I got the job because I had some experience in managing a territory. Most of my colleagues got the job because they, believe it or not, they worked in a warehouse. They understand how manufacturing and logistics works. How creating BOLs or POs.
You gotta like translate all of that.
BOs are like numbers that reference a product that is going from one place to another. Absolutely. It's just an identification
Is
number.
it like a tracking? Yeah.
That's all it is. It's like your UPS tracking number.
Absolutely.
And a lot of my colleagues end up coming from that sort of side of the business where it's like, well, I've worked in major warehouses. I understand how manufacturing works or some sort of logistics works in that sense. And logistics is just a fancy word for moving things from point A to point B.
You hear that, guys? So if you ever decide to go on Indeed and you're looking for a job and you want to make honest, decent money, and you see the word logistics is just a fancy word for moving something, right? So you're doing this job. How do you feel about your role? Are you a fan of it? Do you see yourself there long term? How do you feel about this job?
You know,
I don't want to ask you if you just
feel
like
good.
it, but you know.
No, I feel good. Yeah. And I don't, look, I'm not here to tell you that there aren't certain jobs that are a pain in the butt. There are.
Teaching.
Yeah. I'm not here to say that there's no job out there that doesn't have its struggles. They all do. They all have their challenges.
Right.
And I don't want to sit here and tell you, well, it's all your mind, right? It's how your demeanor plays a factor in it. But the reality of it is that, to an extent, all those factors are one thing, right? It's how you make the situation, right? How your perspective on that, right? Like if you go into, let's say, work at McDonald's and you're like, wow, I can't believe I'm working at McDonald's, but at least you're working. Could be doing nothing. But you know what? Here's a great example. And I'll say the company because they're a great company. They have a lot of potential. TTI. Sales and marketing.
I know those people.
Yeah,
Shout
yeah,
them out.
Yeah, this is Milwaukee. This is
Milwaukee.
I've met a lot of great individuals, younger individuals, that I was 10 years older than them, but they just got out of college. This was their first job. And
break down to the people what Milwaukee.
Power tools, drills, all those sort of things that maybe your dad or your grandfather or maybe some sort of skillman would have or use.
You can't limit it at dad and grandfather anymore.
Women as well. Any laborer that may do
yeah.
But the point is like a great example that I would always have with these folks, and mind you, I'm not that old. I'm 34. I'm turning 35 soon. But the point is they were 21, 22. And the first thing they would hit me with was, I cannot believe I am stocking shelves. But you're not getting paid for stocking shelves, right? You're not getting paid the same that, let's say, a Home Depot employee would get paid who's making $18 an hour. You're making $50,000. You're getting a company car. You're getting a company cell phone. You got all the amenities of like PTO, all that stuff. If you want to say that a bachelor's degree didn't get you there, congratulations, because you wouldn't have gotten that job fair if you weren't in that school trying to get your bachelor's degree. So I want you to take that in consideration. You may be stocking stout shelves, but you are getting paid more than anybody else. Go ask your buddies at Target. Go ask your friends at Home Depot. Go ask your friends at Walmart. Ask them how there are people that are 20 years younger than you that get paid half or maybe 1/3 of what you get paid in a year and don't have the same amenities. And that was one of the biggest things that I told them. I told a lot of young people, and I'm young, but I told a lot of younger people who were 10 years, 9 years younger than me, I would mop floors if they gave me a decent salary. Because there's absolutely no shame in what you do. And there should never be. And that comes down to the perspective. Now, that's not to say every job is meant for you. It's not. Maybe it will be, maybe it won't. But your attitude determines where you're going to be in life, right? Your attitude's going to determine how you're going to go about getting that promotion or how you're going to go about getting that connection that's ultimately going to lead you to another sort of promising opportunity. That is entirely up to you. You got to put in the work. And if you don't want to put in the work, then let's not complain about it, right? Let's think of ideas of how to make this a better situation for you. Because I haven't lost all hope in anybody.
And I want the viewers who are listening to really take what Alex is saying into deep consideration. Your attitude determines your movement in life. It doesn't matter what you do for a living. Your attitude determines your movement in life. If you're a negative Nancy, good luck. But you can also be a positive Peter. I don't know any girl names, or a positive Pamela. But it's just like, you're in this job and you have to explain to the younger generation that they're being awarded some type of benefit.
Absolutely.
Years ago, that was not the salary. You know, there are some kids, it's I don't want to say kids. There's some people in the world who have complained, oh, this job is only paying me $20 an hour. What can I do with that? Which some of them aren't wrong. But when I started working out, minimum wage was $7. You know, I mean, granted, economically, our money stretched a little bit further than theirs.
Jesse, no offense, but for what you have as degrees and stuff like
exactly,
that, let's take in consideration that teachers don't get paid what they deserve at the end of the day. And listen, this guy's gone through schooling.
But you see what these teachers get paid in other cities. Now, granted, I'm not going to complain.
You're going to do what you got to do.
I'm not going to complain. There are ways to work the system.
Yeah.
You know, you work your after school, you work your summer school. There are benefits. Yeah. You know, you can even start your own little private tutoring. Note that down, teachers. If you're teaching and you have a degree, start a little private tutoring side hustle. But it's like, do you know what they pay teachers in North Carolina with their masters? I see one guy on American Income. Shout out American Income. You know, the guy that walks around. Word. I think he's Spanish. He walks around. He asks people, hey, what do you do for a living?
Yeah.
How much do you make? Yo, this one teacher, $45,000.
Mind you, he got a master's.
A master's, $45,000.
A master's, and you got people, young people that I worked with, that complaining about making $50,000 and getting a company vehicle for stocking shelves. Now, if you look at the ladder, You have to be a very passionate person to do what you have to do. Right?
Absolutely.
That's what it comes down to. And I'm not going to knock anybody's passion because that's an art form in itself.
It is. And everybody should have the right to, express their own different styles of art or their own preferred art forms. But it's like, it comes to a point where it's like, yo, you're fortunate. And you're literally sitting in a blessing and you're just completely like, kicking it to the side. So, Alex, with this being the Just Takes a Village podcast, and I've known you seen, all the episodes up till now. So I just want to say thank you, for tuning in. I gotta ask you the infamous question. With this being the Just Takes a Village podcast, we focus on the support that you've gotten in order to get to where you're at in life. So who are the members of your village that helped you, achieve your certain levels of success? Who are the members?
It's gonna be my wife, my daughter. They've put me in positions that have made me rethink a lot of things. And look, just the constant support of my mom and dad. I know not everybody has whether amenities or luxuries of either having your parents involved.
I always mention that it's a luxury to have good parents.
Absolutely, or even meeting somebody.
Mm-hmm.
And listen, let me point something out. I've been married for a long time, and I just celebrated 11 years with my wife. And nothing's perfect. I'm far from perfect. She's far from perfect. But it goes back to that ultimate question of obstacles that you deal with, right? What is life but a series of obstacles? And with all the cons that we've gotten, that I'm sure she gets from me and I get from her, the pros still outweighed it. Hands down. She could be a pain in my butt, and I love her. But she has taught me a lot, and vice versa. And the bigger question is, a lot of people could just say, hey, do you either deal with that, or is it really easy just to give up and just say, forget this, move on? And sometimes the testament of time is really you staying there, taking a jigsaw, which is your life, and then putting those pieces together to fit how you want it to be, right? And that doesn't necessarily mean that it happens exactly the way, but shit, you could get it close enough.
Close is good.
Yeah.
Close is good. Like, I'm content with coming close, but I also want to emphasize and just, let the world know, yes, we're all going to have members and different members to our village, but having that partner as a member in your own personal villages really makes a fundamental difference. Having someone to really just sit there and be with you through the good times, the bad times, the transitional periods. It's those pros that Alex mentioned that really outweigh the cons of life. Because no matter what, that job could be annoying. Your coworkers could be annoying. Your family members could be annoying. I mean, your partner could be annoying too. But going home to your partner and having that sense of peace of mind and that luxury of just having a supportive person in your life, these are the things that matter. So I also want to ask you too, people listening, they've heard you reference Lila, and obviously Lila's your daughter, my goddaughter. I'm the real godfather. Sorry, Johnny, it don't matter, but I am the real godfather. I don't miss her birthday.
Oof.
Right. What does fatherhood mean to you?
I think fatherhood is trying to... All right, you know what? This is a loaded question, but I'm going to try my best to explain it.
For all the young fathers out there, too, and for all the fathers in training, the fits.
It's... Fatherhood to me is distilling the same values that my parents had to me. I would love, I don't know if I'm going to get it, but I would love for my daughter to have the same sense of trying to make me proud. There would be nothing better in this life than her really trying to I'm thinking about my dad and my mom, and I want to make them proud about what I do. Because I've experienced that. I know that firsthand. So it's something that's really, it's real close to me in that sense. Now, I don't know the manual of how to get there. I'm trying my best, being involved as much as I can. And, sometimes I slack off. It is what it is,
listen, it's a full-time job.
It comes with it. But another thing is sharing time with your kids, right? And this might sound crazy, and there's probably gonna be a lot of people that are gonna bug out about this, but here's a great example. My daughter just got into like anime, and there's one anime that she watches, and there's a little bit of violence in it. And
what you watching?
Demon Slayer.
Jeez, Demon Slayer is good,
but I watch it with her.
Yeah,
and other parents could tell me, yo, that's not for an 8-year-old. That's not. You shouldn't let her watch this. I'm gonna be honest with you. I grew up watching Ninja Scroll, which is a far more violent anime that I probably shouldn't have been watching. And my parents didn't know because they either weren't home or they were doing something else, and I did it on my own time. And the moral of the story with this, right, where I'm trying to get at is that I watch it with my daughter. I explain to her the concept of fiction, and I explain to her that it's okay to find certain things cool, but to also set those boundaries. Like, put that sort of systematic thought that, hey, this is entertainment. And as long as we view it as entertainment, then that's fine. And that's not to say there's no age restriction on certain content. Yes, there obviously is, right? As a parent, you have to be able to determine that for your children. But for some sort of cartoon that I personally say I would watch, it's hard for me to sort of put that sort of expectation on my daughter. And some people would come up and tell me, "You let her watch that? How could you?" And the real answer I give everybody: you used to watch it with me. You turned out perfectly fine.
Sheesh. The full circle moment.
We turned out perfectly fine.
The full circle moment.
I don't see us doing anything crazy. So the expectation is we get confused with trying to make a better life for our children, not understanding that, hey, they might just have normal moments like you and me, right? And I'm okay with that. But more importantly, I'm not afraid of explaining things to my daughter. I'm not afraid to have complicated conversations about whatever's going on, whether politically, whether, identity, or whatever things may come up. As a parent, it is your responsibility to have those conversations that you may not want to have.
But you have to have
But
them.
you have to have them. It's fundamental to ultimately have these conversations so that those children that are growing up are able to comprehend. Listen, I'm not saying to learn things. I'm saying to comprehend. Knowing the answer to something isn't always everything. It's the journey to get to it.
And how you understand it,
Absolutely.
too. So it's not all about, it's how it's perceiving and it's receiving the message at the same time, too. So, this is one of the reasons why, we have that running joke that you keep winning, like, Father of the Year. Because I've seen you have, these conversations, whether we go into the pool over the summer, whether we go in Jersey, whether we're celebrating Lila's birthday, or even if we just go out to eat, I always say, I do appreciate the way you speak to your daughter because, yes, she's young and she's 8, but you speak to her as if she's like the same conversations me and you have, you're able to have with her. And I feel like that's accredited to obviously you and Didi, but it's like now when Lila gets older and as time passes by, she's able to express herself. She's able to speak her talking points without any fear of like rejection. She's just able to speak. And that is such a powerful tool that children can benefit from in life. Because there's something to say about a child who just knows how to express themselves. And they speak with a certain level of poise and conviction. And it's just like, that's what it's all about,
Big shout out to like all my brothers, both of my brothers and my sister's friends who are much older than me.
Yeah.
And I'm really good friends with them. I'm hanging out with my sister's friends. I'm hanging out with some of my brother's friends. These are people with experience. Now, that's not to say that they're all right. That's not to say that they figured everything. Big shout out to V Bravo. He's gonna watch. He's gonna love this. V has been probably one of the best mentors I've ever had.
Right.
And V's in his 50s. And you know what? I had the luxury that at 12, 11, 10, even as close as 9, knowing these people and being able to have that conversation. And honestly, all I did is I'm just mimicking or reenacting what they did with me when I was younger, right? They would see me as my sister's little brother. I would get invited. I would go with them. You know, there was never the barrier of like, yo, he's too young, chill. I was very fortunate to meet a lot of good people that wanted to have conversations with me, whether all my sister's friends, my brother's friends, and a lot of those conversations were with V, and I think that really helped out. And it's funny because he just had a baby at 50. He just had a baby, and he's asking me for things.
It's full circle.
Yeah, big shout out to Andrea. I just got asked to be her godfather like 3 weeks ago for her
congratulations.
birthday. Yeah, man, the 20 years of knowing a 50-year-old, because remember, as I age, he ages too. But you know,
20 years of knowing a 50-year-old.
But
something else.
But the point is what I'm trying to get at is that, you know, when we shed that sort of generational gap,
yeah,
and we're able to talk to people the way that people may talk to them as they get older. It's good preparation. Like, don't get me wrong, talk to your baby, your newborn, itsy bitsy, you know, my lovey-dovey, you know, however you do. but at some point, when they have that sort of like cognitive ability to understand things,
yeah, stop that shit.
Just talk to them.
Yeah, stop that shit.
Talk to them like you would talk to any of your friends, minus the maybe lewd comments or any sort of
and take them out the stroller too.
Right, let them walk, man.
Yeah,
let them walk, bro.
I see like fully sized human beings, like just
those are special cases, but nonetheless, you know, the point is they are going to grow up, and as a parent, what is the fundamental thing that I would say is that you're there to prepare them, like the bird with the chicks in the bird nest. Eventually, they have to fly. What does the mother do? Feed them, get them strong in order to flap their wings. At one point, they're going to have to jump out the nest, right? It's flight or die for most cases. And it's brutal, right? But that's how nature is. But, you know, at the end of the day, just being able to have a conversation, being able to understand what your child is into, and showing interest. I know that's crazy, but if you're able to show interest in what your daughter or your son or your children are into, doesn't have to be to the extent of them, you know, it goes a long way. Now you have a topic to talk about.
You know, I had a guest, I want to say episode 4 or 5, my sister's friend Julie, who was a movie director, and it was her godmother that showed interest in her movie directing. Oh, explain this to me. Tell me what this is about. Why'd you do this? Or what kind of movies you want to make? And it was that stuck in her mind. And now to this very day, you know, she's a movie director. And it just was embedded because she had such a big interest in movies growing up. And just the parent taking a level of interest into it, it kept it alive. And now she's able to just, you know, express herself and chase that dream that, you know, that she's wanted since she was a child. Mom, I have 2 questions left for you, but my first question is, what keeps you going in terms of wanting more for yourself in life? Where does that motivating force come from?
I don't have the answers to like the secret of life, so don't expect that, you know. I'm not God here, but you go through phases in life, right? I could tell you that I looked at the world very differently at 5, and then I looked at it very differently at 10, and I looked at it very differently at 15. And, you know, it doesn't have to be in those intervals of 5, but the point is you hit different phases of your life. And what I could say is this: there are experiences that are bad, but there are experiences that are very good. And what is life but an experience, right? You're trying to find the ultimate experience, right? Now, I'm not telling you to jump off of a plane here. If that's your thing, then do it.
We are not skydiving.
Yeah, but I will. That's not for that's for the next episode. But
Yeah.
what I will tell you is this, right? Ultimately, I tried escargot. I would have never tried that years ago. Phenomenal. Amazing. All of a sudden, I like seafood. Amazing. Not in a different life, I would have been like, nah, I ain't touching that. All of a sudden, I eat my steak medium rare instead of well done. People look at me like I'm a lunatic, right? But now I do it.
Nobody likes chewing bubble gum.
But my point, but that's my point. My point is, life is filled with experiences, right? And I think that ultimately we're constantly seeking a new experience, whether we know it or not. Whether it's like, damn, I really hope I get this job, or damn, I really hope I get this apartment, or you know, damn, I really hope this guy or this woman really is into me after they swiped left on you, you know, whatever the case may be. The point is that it ultimately comes down to an experience. Everything's an experience.
It does.
And you could live life, and I think that, you know, I'm not somebody that knows anything, well, I don't know too much about mental health. I'm not an expert. But I think that the individuals that are suffering with mental health or some sort of disorder or anything in their life that prevents them from living on, I think it's just a lack of motivation to an extent. And it's not the full cure, but I think it's because they've lost the will to sort of have that sense of, boy, how's this experience going to be? Am I going to enjoy it? It's the excitement, the thrill of the kill, you want to say, right? Where you just look at it and you just
metaphorically, people.
Right. Don't kill nobody. But the point is like, you want to live life and you want to continue to live life. And then when you break it down in segments, you start figuring out that every single aspect of your life has negative and positive experiences. And some experiences are more rooted into you than others.
Absolutely.
You know, so.
Absolutely. I really, wow. I mean, somebody's going to watch this interview and they are going to keep going back and back and back and rewinding, because it's like every 3 lines is a quote, you know, being that wise and having to experience life the way you did, you're able to, you know, just share with others. And this is why I thought to myself, I said, listen, I have this platform about people using different forms of education to propel their lives in a positive way. Why not use Mr. Formal Education, vocational education, and life experiences? You know, this is what I always say, you're Mr. Get It Done. So my final question for you is, if you could describe life for you right now in 3 words, what words would you use? Currently, in this very moment, life is.
Let me think about that. That is something that you usually ponder on, but yesterday was yesterday, tomorrow is in existence because it hasn't happened, and we only live in the now. So if I were to use 3 words that I could say represent my current lifestyle, I would say progressive.
Life is progressive.
It is. I'm learning something every day, whether you like it or not.
Okay.
We don't agree on everything, but that's okay.
Absolutely.
The second one would be, I'm going to have to go back with the experience, man.
So life is progressive. Life is an experience.
It is, man. It's man, I mean, I have existential crises sometimes in my head, but that's neither here or there.
Yeah.
You know, but, and then the last thing, and not to quote anybody, but life is good. It's real good, man. It is good.
So life is progressive. Life is an experience, and overall,
life is good.
Life
man.
is good, man. With that being said, thank you, Alex, for coming on the platform. And Jen is just like that. Thank you guys for tuning in. Until next time.
Word.
That's it, man. Thank you, Alex, for coming to the village.
Appreciate it, man.
No problem.